Alright guys, I am back with my buddy Marion Sell, who of course is a professional photographer. This man takes absolutely fantastic photos. Seriously.
Thank you.
Yes, really good photos. He's taking photos with Gal Gadot. He's done shoots this week. He did like 4 photo shoots, 5, 6. A lot of photo shoots. Yeah. But he's back with us here to talk about, of course, mobile photography. And today we're taking a look at the Huawei P20 Pro. This is a camera that you spent some time with using. Yeah. And first question, like, what did you think about the phone as a camera?
So I think it is actually a really good tool. It's a fun camera. I went right into it without reading any instruction manual. It was very obvious.
I gave him no instructions.
Yes, and I didn't really go through like the menu or like look into the preferences very much. I just went ahead and started taking photos. And I have to say they look fantastic. Like the camera feels very natural for somebody who's used to being around cameras. I mean in the same manner as other mobile phones do, but this one has a professional feel to it. And the lenses and the sensors are made by Leica, which is a very well-known German camera brand. It's actually really fun to use this phone.
But we're going to take a closer look at some of the things and what you liked, and maybe some of the things you didn't like with the P20 Pro.
Alright, so this photo here, we made it to the beach. I took the phone out of my pocket and took a portrait of her, and just to see what happens if I just don't do anything, just hit the photo mode, hit the trigger and see what happens. So what happened is, I like the skin tones of her. I think that's really well achieved. The quality, the sharpness, all of it looks pretty great. The sky becomes very blue, and I believe that it is some artificial intelligence thing that's embedded into the phone where if you just hit the button, the phone tries hard to make the photo look appealing to an untrained eye, I would say. So for me it is a little bit too colorful and too punchy, but maybe for somebody who just takes a phone to take random snapshots, it might actually make his photo look nicer to him. Strolling around on the beach trying to find things that I can take photos of, and so I found this couple and I took a snapshot. I was just walking by, so I didn't really aim. I didn't want to be a stalker, so I took this photo also with the regular mode, and looking at it now, I think it looks very sharpened. That's unfortunate. So this is the 100% view. If you went even closer now, you would recognize that the bird, for example, has like a distinct white line around it. So it's the digital camera trying to give you the impression of sharpness. To my eye, it looks a little bit too treated.
Alright, I mean, to me, it does look like a really good shot for something that you popped out and, took a quick photo though.
But I guess I'm a little spoiled. I went ahead and switched on the black and white mode, the monochrome lens, and I think it's quite fantastic what you can do with it. So I was searching for an object that has a lot of detail to it, and I found the driftwood, found several driftwoods, and I think the quality is quite fantastic. This is now, I think, a 10 megapixel file. You can also shoot 20 megapixels. I didn't know that at the time when I was just hitting buttons. So I think this looks great. The gradients are beautiful. You see the sky goes from dark to gray, from dark to bright without any lines. So it's pretty great. I instantly kind of fell in love with a black and white camera. You can now searching for detailed landscapes, and in this case I found the sand. There is something interesting happening in here. I'm not sure if you can see it. I only realize now that there's a sharp edge inside this, where the bottom of the image is sharper than the top. I don't know I don't know where it comes from. There is a lot of detail inside this file. It's a JPEG. I did not shoot raw.
This is him in his Navy SEAL days,
Exactly. About to hop into the water. So kite surfing. This is a backlit scenario. So I think the camera handles it pretty well. The exposure, I think, is good. It makes it look more dramatic, to be almost silhouetted. And I think trying to push now to see what information we have in the shadows.
Well, it's still like
you can recognize my face now, so I think it's pretty good. You could go ahead and treat this image in order to get the face out and the background, keep it dramatic. Very curious to see what happens if you shoot a 40 megapixel photo with a small lens and a small sensor. So first things first, I think it's quite impressive how much you get out of the small sensor. It's really, I have to say, I'm impressed. But now maybe also that's a factor why it's a small lens with a very big sensor behind it, so you really get the idea of that you have a small lens there, and you get this blur to the side of the frame, which maybe you wouldn't see it if it was shot in 10 megapixel mode, but now you've got a lot of detail, so it becomes very apparent that the lens is not as good as it should be for this size sensor.
Okay.
I couldn't say that it's a perfect file, like 40 megapixels is a big word, and I think I'm curious to see how this compares, for example, to a shot that is taken with a 35mm size sensor at 40 megapixels. Alright, and then we went ahead and went into the night mode, and that's actually a very interesting thing because you can shoot ambiances that seem to be too dark to take a photo of. And I want to say I'm impressed because I'm used to this environment. When I want to shoot a high quality photo of a dark environment, I get the tripod and put the camera on the tripod, shoot like 3-second exposures or whatsoever, do a lot of things in order to make this work. Another just random snapshot in the street, it's quite impressive. The things you get out of the environment that is actually too dark to take photos in, it is quite amazing. I want to say I'm impressed of this sensor. Every now and then I end up taking photos of my cats, but well, in this particular case, it is a black cat and it is an environment that looked to my eye like complete darkness. It is really amazing. You see
still a lot of detail, especially with that. You can see the eyes.
You see actually the big windows in the background. You see them. They're now overexposed because the foreground is so dark that the phone put a lot of effort into catching like as much light as possible. So it is actually night. This has been taken at I think 11 o'clock in the night. It catches all of the city light that are being reflected in the clouds. So, and then I did this shot of the building. Once again, in what I would call proper night time. It is amazing how much detail you can see. Actually, there's a person watching a movie, and you feel like you could almost go ahead and read the subtitles.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
So the night mode does 10 megapixel files. And in order to see, I wanted to get a comparison to the iPhone actually. So I went ahead and I took the same shot with my iPhone 7 just to see what it looks in comparison. So I'm sorry, my cats are going crazy.
No way.
So I would say what happens in the nighttime is several images are being stitched together. The telephone gets a lot of detail out of the darker areas and out of the brighter areas and creates something like an HDR photo for you. Where the iPhone in this particular case only did one single shot. Interestingly, the iPhone's resolution is a little bit bigger, so I think this is 12 megapixels. Looking at details now, I recognize the grain a lot in the iPhone photo, but on the other hand, the iPhone photo has a natural feeling to it, which in this one here, once again, is very sharp, but much less grainy.
So you saw a lot of photos. There's stuff that you liked and stuff that you didn't like. But what's your overall take? Do you like the Huawei P20?
Yes, I want to say I actually really like the camera function on this phone. It's very intuitive. The professional mode is good. The monochrome lenses, well, what I would say is fantastic. It's a beautiful and powerful tool to have in your pocket because everybody's carrying a mobile phone around with him. So if you can choose between having a great camera on it or a mediocre camera, then I would actually go with a great camera. So professional modes, big resolution files, raw files, it's all in there. You have optical zoom. It's a pretty powerful tool.
Cool. Yeah. There you have it. So thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Appreciate it. Check out all the photos. We have them on the link down below. It's on our website. Marian took a bunch of photos there, so you can actually see them. And also follow Marian on Instagram. His Instagram name is actually down below as well. And you can check out his website and see all his professional shoots. This man takes some great photos. I feel ashamed when I gave him this phone because literally when I took a photo and I looked at what I took, I was like, never mind, sorry. I shouldn't take photos again. But thank you very much. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe to the channel, and always enjoy your entertainment.
Thank you.